With the GOP convention less than 14 hours away, we turn now to our team of correspondents down on the floor, beginning with our own Wolf Blitz. The center of it all, actually right to the right center of it all. Wolf, tell us what you're going to be doing as the podium reporter.
I'm going to be here every night, Monday through Thursday, starting at 7 p.m. tomorrow, because there is a morning and afternoon session. My basically will be to try to get some of the speakers, some of those who are going to be coming out here talking to the floor after their speeches, guess what the mood is, and obviously try to get some news if we can from the various speakers who are going to be up here. Monday night, for example, Mrs. Laura Bush will be one of the principal speakers, General Colin Powell. On Tuesday night, it's going to be all national security and national defense. Condoleezza Rice, Governor Bush's chief national security advisor, will be speaking, as well as John McCain. The theme of his speech is going to be, again, on national defense. Wednesday night, Dick Cheney. It will be Dick Cheney's night. Thursday night, of course, Governor Bush and his acceptance speech. So my job here will be basically to find those people and a lot of the others, some of the lesser knowns, because not all of the speakers are just political types. There'll be some comedians, there'll be some entertainers as well. Now, Frank Sesno standing by on the floor. He's over in New Hampshire. Frank, tell us what you're going to be doing.
Well, down here on the floor, Wolf, much as you up on the podium, we'll be looking for the stories. And every one of these delegates is a story unto him or herself. Every one of these states tells a story. New Hampshire's a good case in point. One of the messages that this convention wants to convey, that Republicans want to convey, is that all are firmly and loyally in lockstep behind George W. Bush. But as New Hampshire's placement here proves, it's all the way at the back of the hall. There are some scars that haven't entirely healed yet. It was, after all, New Hampshire that launched John McCain. They went overwhelmingly for John McCain in that primary on February 1st. It's one of the reasons they're sitting back here. And by the way, the McCain delegates who then kind of owned that delegation voted out two committeemen who they thought were way too loyal to George W. Bush. So there's a change in the New Hampshire delegation as well. Nonetheless, they will be behind Bush here, and their first priority is to keep that first-in-the-nation status, that New Hampshire primary, next time around. And for all the discussion and debate, the head of the Republican Party says there's nothing like being out of the White House for 8 years that gets you going and keeps you focused. Now, John King, my colleague across the way, has done some creative geography for a political point. You're between Wyoming and Arizona, John.
That's right, Frank. Two states we'll be watching very closely throughout this convention for very different reasons. As you mentioned, a great deal of focus here. What will John McCain do? What will his role be? And what will his delegates do? This is the Arizona delegation. Aides tell us the senator plans to come to the floor on Thursday and actually watch Governor Bush's acceptance speech here with his home state delegation. Bush aides watching just a bit nervously. They're still worried that some of the McCain delegates are a bit disgruntled. They're looking for the senator to be quite enthusiastic in his endorsement. Aides say he will be, and to quiet down his delegates should any of them try to mount any bit of a protest. Now, by coincidence, just behind Arizona is the Wyoming delegation. Only 13 delegates, but they now in a central role at this convention, of course, because their former member of Congress, Dick Cheney, is the GOP vice presidential nominee. They were moved up a bit. They were to be in the back of the hall, but they are moved up. These relatively small states over on a piece of the floor with two of November's biggest prizes between the Texas and the California delegations is our senior political correspondent, Candy Crowley.
John, standing here between California and Texas, just because it's a reminder that there's an overarching story here that I think is represented in these two delegations. On my right is Texas, certainly the happiest delegation, but also reflective of a mood at this convention. They really feel that they've got a hold of a winner here, so that is very pervasive and will be pervasive on the floor. California, a very diverse state and one that they would dearly love to have in the bag. They're trailing in the polls there now. But California sort of represents in that kind of microcosm the sort of message that they want to get out here, appealing to those sorts of diverse swing voters. This has all of the fingerprints of the Bush campaign on this particular convention. What they want here is to appeal to swing voters. It's a tricky kind of business because they have to rouse the people in the hall, that is the faithful, without scaring the people watching it on television. So in fact, both Texas and California playing very important parts here, both in the overarching view and in the single view. And by the way, there is absolutely no coincidence in the fact that the first event George Bush will have here will be before a Latino group. Now let me throw to my colleague Jean Meserve over in Ohio, one of many battle states she's covering.
That's right. Ohio, Illinois, Michigan, Kentucky, they're all here. These are the states where this election is going to be decided. They will be lavished with love and attention during this convention. George W. Bush has traveled through some of them on his way to the convention. He'll travel through them again on his way out. These are all states that went for Bill Clinton in 1992 and 96. But right now, the polls show George W. Bush even or ahead of Al Gore in every one of these states. The delegates are excited. They are enthused. They think that their horse is a winner this time. There are differences of opinion, of course, within these delegations. You'll hear them expressed, but they will be muted because there's a greater goal here. The goal of the Republicans here is to get George W. Bush elected. Just yesterday, they were rehearsing some of the music that they're going to be playing during this convention. The band was playing an old Beatles classic, and the chorus goes, "Come together right now over me." That's exactly what George W. Bush wants out of this convention, and it looks like he's going to get it. Now back to Wolf Blitzer on the podium.
Gene, our viewers, especially our politically observant viewers, will notice that this podium is a lot different than previous podiums. One of the things, it's a lot lower. There are steps that go down. It's one of the symbolic gestures they've made to show that this is a new Republican Party. This is a new Republican presidential candidate, a man who is much more compassionate, anxious to be part of the people, and this podium sort of symbolizes all of that. We'll have extensive coverage, of course, from the podium as well as the floor as this convention continues. But for now, back to Judy up in the booth. Judy?
All right, Wolf, and if I may dub it, the mother of all podiums that we've seen covering politics. Inside Politics, we'll be right back.
Looking for souvenirs, anything they can find in this hall to take home from this 37th Republican Convention. Well, you've been with us from the snows of Iowa and New Hampshire through the end of the primary season into this Republican Convention here in Philadelphia, out to Los Angeles next week for the opening of the Democrats' convention, into the October fall presidential and the one vice presidential debate, and then, of course, November 7th, when the American people will cast their ballots to make their ultimate decision to determine who will be the 43rd president of the United States. It seems to me that there's reason to have pride in being an American and to be thankful for the system of government that rules this great land.
And Bernie, about these past 4 days, I would just say at the end of a convention so heavy on entertainment, so heavy on moderation that at times we could confuse it with either a Broadway review or a Democratic convention, Governor George W. Bush gave a very effective acceptance speech tonight, and I would just close here by quoting one undecided voter at Florida City. He said, "I like what he said, but I'm going to have to wait to find out what he's going to do." Jeff?
And when the Democrats convene a week from Monday in Los Angeles, what they intend to do, it's already clear what they've been saying, to describe this entire convention in their terms as a masquerade ball. Their argument is beneath the veneer of compassionate conservatism lurks a traditional Republican who favors the few over the many. That is the task of the Democratic Party, as well as the task of turning a vice president into a leader in his own right. And a week now, this Republican National Convention is over, and these 4 days we think will be one of the best in the business. Bruce Morton of CNN takes a lingering, lovely closing at the Great Old Post Philadelphia Convention.
They met in the city where rebels vowed to form a more perfect union. What is the message from this convention? Was back to the past, the good and honorable past.
George and I always read Harold. Dr. Seuss's Hop on Pop was one of his favorites. George would lie on the floor to read the story, and the girls would literally on pop, turning the story into an export. We wanted to teach our children what our parents had taught us, that reading is entertaining and interesting and important.
If that happened to remind you of a recent proceeding, but all the literacy was, well, it was okay. Part of what went on was a party. People danced. More time-honored rituals like on your feet when it's time to cast vote.
You ready? Alabama, a leader in biotechnology, aerospace, software development, agriculture, and forestry.
Say they vote for their traditions. People are funny. Republicans do hats well for some reason. It's time there were Texas hats, of course. Red, white, and blue hats. Elephant hats. And even Texas elephant hats. But if the party had an team, it was to include Republican strategist Lee Atwater used to call the Big Chant, Old Viewpoint Falcon. So delegates as well as late Kate Smith on video sang God Bless America. They could enjoy a gospel choir, too. What George clearly did not was kind of English versus M speech Pat Buchanan delivered at President Bush's United Convention in 1992.
There is a religious war going on in this country. It's a cultural war. As critical to the nation shall be as the Cold War itself, but this war is for the soul of America.
This year's program inclusiveness, a Native American here, a rabbi there, and so on. Featured speakers underscored the theme. Condoleezza Rice talking about her grandmother's fight for an education.
He was about little still in college, about 15 miles away. So Granddaddy picked up his unperson and he went off to Tuscaloosa. After a year, he ran out of cotton and needed a way to pay for college. Gravy, as he does, God gave Nancy. My grandfather asked those other boys were saying, and told they had with all the scholarship, and said, if you wanted to be a Presbyterian minister, then you could have one too. Granddaddy Rice said, that's just what I had in mind.
And sometimes the message of inclusion was toughly put.
There must understand the cynicism that exists in the black community. The kind of cynicism that is created when, for example, some are arguing there's no opportunity to rally and loudly condemn affirmative action and help a few thousand black kids get an education, but you hardly hear a whimper when it's affirmative action for lobbyists who loaded our federal tax code with preferences for special interests. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You can't make that case.
But inclusion is not universal here. Ron Powell's affirmative the GOP platform is we will attain equal opportunity without quotas or other preferential treatment. That would ban all things, go further than Bush, oppose education in schools, except for teaching abstinence, and oppose laws protecting homosexuals from discrimination. And openly gay and spoke on international feet, and the let's bow their heads in silent protest. Let's speak. You can be the one you can be the one. And for all the black faces on the poll, how Lucy was in Center for Political Studies, Washington think tank said 4.1% of the delegates here were black, up from 1996, but about the same in 1992 when Pat Buchanan made a cultural war speech. The delegates have heard Bush's message.
He wants nothing to divide us into separate nations. Not our color, not our race, not our wealth, not our religion, not our politics. He wants us to live for America as one nation and together profess the American creed, respect and truce.
And they've sent one message out this week. They want to.
Bill Clinton vowed not longer to hold on to power until the last hour of the last day. That is his right. But my friends, the last hour is coming. That last is near. The wheel has turned, and it is time. It is time for them to go.
They heard it again tonight from their nominee.
We are now the party of innovation, party of idealism and inclusion, party of simple and powerful hope. My fellow citizens, we can begin again.
Believe it. How unified is the party? They are leaders proud to be Americans. They among them see many different Americans, see different Republican parties. So the question is, which party will the country now that the party's over? For CNN Philadelphia.
Well, Let's not buy his farewell temporarily. We'll be seeing you next week from Los Angeles from our show.
I'm Judy Woodruff. We've loved every minute.
I'm Jeff Greenfield and Larry King. A fresh edition coming right your way. See you in LA.